back on March 11th, but now, finally, Friday, it is back in action. 4 round of 16 matchups still to get sorted over the next couple of days. A doubleheader on Friday that includes Juventus and Lyon, of course, the French side holding on to a 1-0 lead after the first leg. Manchester City and Real Madrid, they'll play in Manchester. City holding a 2-1 lead after their victory in Spain in the first leg. For more, we're joined by Alan Moreno, Frank LeBeuf, Don Hutchison. Frank, I'll start with you. Let's start big picture form. Since the restart, who has been more impressive, Real Madrid or Manchester City?
Definitely Real Madrid. I mean, they didn't lose any game. They won the Liga. They seem to be very compact, played together with very optimistic and positive way of thinking games and willing to win every games. With a talented Zidane, who knows exactly what to do with the players, who seemed to be very done before he came up and to charge again that team, and they won the Liga. So they find I think they feel very up for the competition of the Champions League. Now they have to score 2 goals. They're not good of leading games. They're going to wait for Manchester City to do so and attacking. And the biggest problem is they're going to miss their captains. They're going to miss Sergio Ramos. I think for me the best player in Real Madrid.
Rodri, the midfielder for Manchester City, has said that they have a better team. Is he right?
They had a better team had this game been played when it was originally supposed to be played. Let's not forget how impressive Manchester City was against Real Madrid in that first leg, and that the 2-1 result was actually the best result that Real Madrid could have hoped for, because Manchester City were far better than Real Madrid and really should have and could have won that game out for a lot longer than what they did. I really think that since the restart, what we have seen for Real Madrid has been truly impressive in really recognizing who they are as a group, being very comfortable with their shape as a team, being a team that, they're not as dynamic as you would want them to be. They're not as open as we all, as neutrals, would want them to be, but they are very effective, very efficient. They know themselves very well, and they're very much at peace with the fact that it's a team that is going to defend first, and it's hard to think in those terms when you think about Real Madrid, but that's indeed what they have become. And let's not forget about the player that Karim Benzema has been for Real Madrid this year. He has, over the last couple months, really taken this team on his shoulders and be the real source of offensive productivity. But even Hazard, if you're going to go to Manchester and score at least 2 goals, he has to be at his very best. And I think we can all agree that he has not been at his very best consistently for Real Madrid. Before the restart, after the restart, before pandemic, post-pandemic, they need him to be the player that they thought they were getting when they made that choice.
Frank, we don't know what Pep Guardiola will do, but my question to you is, what should he do? Should Manchester City play the same way they always do, or should there be a more conservative approach considering it's a team with a lead?
Well, difficult question to answer, but I think it's you don't chase your nature, and the nature of Manchester City and the way that Guardiola sees football is getting the possession, attacking. Whether you won away from home and you should only maybe stay at the back and play counter-attack. I think those players don't know how to do that, first. And second, I think they're not strong enough defensively to play like that. So it's better the attack. It's better to have that positive attitude going forward, because if they score 1 goal or even 2 goals, because 1 goal is going to be the same. Real Madrid will have to score 2, but 2 goals, which is more than possible for Manchester City, is going to be almost impossible for Real Madrid. So I think don't change your nature, play like you know how to play, and see what's going on.
Don, wouldn't that play right into Madrid's hands?
No, but I think, Seppi, if you're Guardiola, he'll never change. There's not a chance that Man City will sit back and try and defend a 2-1 lead. It's not going to happen. It's not in his nature. I don't think the players that he's got would particularly enjoy trying to do that. It's not in their nature neither. I can't imagine if you asked Bernardo Silva and Raheem Sterling and Kevin De Bruyne, although they would do it because they're team players, you wouldn't then get the best out of him. Like Frank said, if you're Man City and you're Guardiola, you drum home to that group of players that you get the first goal in the game, that more or less kills the tie. Frank's right. I mean, the chances of Man City scoring 2, you'd say, are pretty good. Can then Real Madrid get then 4 and 5? Highly unlikely.
One player we haven't mentioned yet, Gareth Bale. That's because Zidane is going to leave him home for this match. Here's what the Real Madrid manager had to say about Gareth Bale. Quote, he's a Real Madrid player, and I respect that. He preferred not to play. That's the only thing I can tell you. Ale, we've heard a lot of back and forth between these two, but these seems pretty serious. He's preferring not to play?
And if you are sitting on the fence in terms of what you feel about Gareth Bale as a player, and you didn't quite know whether to take the side of Real Madrid and Zidane or Gareth Bale, when the player himself allegedly says thanks but no thanks at this stage of the competition and this caliber of player with that sort of talent, he's saying, no, I'm turning my back on the team, I'm turning my back on my teammates, I'm turning my back on my career. I'm saying, no, this is not important enough for me. I just have to say, you know what, regardless of what the friction and the sort of the mistrust and the lack of relationship and fractured relationship that there is between the player and the coach and the player and the club, at some point, you as a player, the one thing that you can control is, hey, I'm available, I'm here, I'm ready to go. It's your decision if you don't play me, but I'm here. You don't ever take yourself out of the selection process. You don't ever take yourself out of the possibility of playing, and you don't ever turn your back on yourself, your teammates. You don't do that. You don't turn your back on the locker room. And when you say, I don't want to play, that's not for me, man, that says everything you need to know about Gareth Bale, and none of it is positive.
Don, there's a lot of context around this situation, but is there any defending Gareth Bale?
Not if he's said what he supposedly have said, Sebi. I mean, listen, I've not checked Gareth Bale's Wikipedia, but I guarantee you at some point it says on there a professional footballer. Now, if you're refusing to play, and listen, I've had 11 clubs over in England, and I've had some moves in my time, but not once have I ever said to my manager, I don't want to play. And you play for Real Madrid. You know, you've got the potential to play in the Champions League. You know, this is a guy that's scored 2 in a Champions League final. He's won Champions League. He's won a ridiculous amount of honours since he's been at Real Madrid. Now, I understand and I get he doesn't get on maybe with the manager and the fans just can't take to Gareth Bale. But if you want the fans to take to you, play for the football club. Don't come out and say, you know, if that's what he said allegedly, that thanks but no thanks, and I don't want to play in the Champions League, I don't want to play. I have never heard anything like in my life, Sebi. I find it so wrong because Gareth Bale, from what I've heard from people that I know and they know him, they tell me he's a stand-up guy, he's as honest as they come, he's a professional. This is not being professional. It doesn't look good.
Frank, we know in the past, despite the issues between them, Zidane has used Bale in critical moments. Surely he would have loved to have him as at least an option in this match, right?
Yes, of course, and it's been shown during the time that they shared together that Bale could have been a big part, because I remember that he scored a fantastic goal in the Champions League final. But that's what it is. I mean, there is a human being, which is a coach, who decides, you know, whether you're going to play or not. And you sign a contract, and you know you're not the only one there. And you have especially when you play for Real Madrid, you have other stars. And Zidane has maybe like 30 guys that he has to choose between them, and make sure that he's going to pick the best team. And then you're going to say, no, I prefer not to play because he didn't pick me. What kind of professional player you are? I mean, Bale has a fantastic talent. He's a fantastic player. But I think when he's going to look backwards, you know, at the end of his career, I think he's gonna maybe say that he missed something. He missed something because he won many things with Real Madrid. But I mean, something is missing, and maybe it's a behavior. The pride of playing for Real Madrid is insulting the institution right now, and I think he's completely wrong. He's completely wrong. I mean, the image of himself that he's giving to the world is a very bad one. I don't know if he's going to listen to us, but he has to change his way of thinking football quickly.
Right, let's move on then to Lyon and Juventus. Lyon with a 1-0 lead after the first leg. Frank, I'll come right back to you. We saw what Lyon did in the Coupe de Ligue against PSG. They pretty much shut them down entirely, not even a ton of chances for PSG. Why can't they just do that again?
Why not? I mean, it's possible. They had a fantastic game in the first leg, but it's such a long time ago. But you're right, against Paris Saint-Germain, I think they maybe deserved to win. Well, they didn't. They lost on penalty kicks at the end of after 2 hours. But yeah, they can do so. And I think Juventus is showing some weaknesses lately, and it's possible for Lyon if they believe they can. Go for a miracle, why not, you know? But it's going to be hard, you know? I mean, we all know, I don't want to go back to cliche where Italian teams, they know what to do in very critical situations. So Juventus will have the experience, will have the history of the Champions League, but everything is possible for Lyon, and I believe that they can surprise somebody, and well, Juventus in that case.
Don, we know Lyon is good at making the game ugly, if nothing else. That's what you expect in this one?
Oh, absolutely. They are not going to come out and try and play total football against Juventus. It's not going to happen. They're going to adopt exactly the same tactics. But there's two sides when I think of Europe over the last 3 or 4 years that you can never, ever depend on. And Borussia Dortmund's one, because you never know who's going to beat them, and they can lose against anyone. And Lyon are the other ones. You know, whenever they play, home or away, you can never guarantee when they play games in Liga 1, you know, what the score is going to be, or even if they're going to get a result. And I can't depend on them beating Juve. The scoreline is either going to be 0-0 and they go through, or they get walloped 4-0. Because if they try those tactics and sit in, they're inviting loads of pressure, and then you bring Higuain, you bring Dybala, you bring Ronaldo into the game, and they, as we know, can open up any defence. So they've got to try and find a tactic, but it won't be going forward. It'll be pure defence all the way.
Ale, they're trailing. How worried are you about Juventus?
I am worried about Juventus, and it's not so much about whatever Lyon is going to do. It's merely just basing my opinion on what I've seen from Juventus since the restart. And it's a team that if you just took the uniform away, and you took the crest away, and you didn't say Juventus, and you just watch them play since the restart, you think, well, there's some holes here. There's some frailties. There's some difficulties. And it's a team that at times can become very predictable in the attack and very Ronaldo dependent. And so Dybala has to have a big game. If Higuain plays, then he has to have a big game. But in terms of Juventus as a whole, they have been underwhelming. And I know that's difficult to say when they just won the title for seemingly the 100th time. But it just... The sense what I get from Juventus is that they should be better than what they are, and that by now Sarri should have a better idea as to what his best team is. That we are deep into the season, and I don't think that he has a real handle as to what the best version of Juventus looks like, and we rarely see that best version of Juventus. So we go back to Dybala has to have a good game, Higuain may have to have a big game, but most of all, this all becomes, again, Champions League, big stage, and Cristiano Ronaldo. It's a story that we've seen before, but if Juventus is going to go through, he's going to have to score a big goal, because I just don't think that anybody else on that team is going to provide the sort of productivity that they need.
It's the Sarri way, Sebi, isn't it, Ali and Frank? When you think of what Riccio Sarri does, it's substance over style. You know, when he was at Chelsea, the Chelsea fans didn't really have an identity what Sarri was. He made them hard to watch when he had all those exciting players. He's got the same sort of players at Juve. And even at times, like Ali said, after the restart, they hadn't been a particularly good side to watch. They stuttered towards the title. And with Sarri, you know, he's not going to let them just go and play. He's not going to set his team and say, right, go and fly and go and beat this Lyon side with loads of style. It will be a bit of a grind. So I think that's the problem when you try and get a handle on what Sarri's style is. It's not particularly offensive. It's all about just getting the job done.
Guys, great stuff. A reminder, join us for Extra Time. Frank, Don, and Ale are all back. Take your questions on Twitter.